Welcome back guys to another video, and today we're going to be building a birthdays notification app using create react app. It's a very simple project. We're only fetching some data and then displaying it, and then I'm also going to place a dismiss button here in case I was thinking of a situation like you've already read the notification and you don't need it anymore. So when I click dismiss, notice how the state will also change here, and let's say dismiss, it changes to 7 because there are 7 remaining, and so on and so forth. And if I'm to go to inspect, if you go to this components tab right there, you can see my state only has 4 objects remaining. Okay, and if I say dismiss, 3 more remaining, dismiss and dismiss, and finally the last one, and my state is finally empty, an empty array. Okay, if you're wondering about where to get these two tabs, it's actually an extension called React Developer Tools. Yeah, it's called React Developer Tools. Just go to the Chrome Web Store and search for React Developer Tools and install, and once you install it, it will give you these 2 extra tabs here. It's a very nice extension to have, especially if you're dealing with React. Now I didn't set a restore button, but you can do that very easily. I'm going to show you or give you like some direction on how to do that. But if I reload it right there, you can see that all my data is back. And I uploaded this to react-birthdays-app.netlify.app and also to my GitHub repository, and the repository is react-birthdays.app. And when you go there, all you find is the source code, and yeah, I think once we've done that, we are ready to start. Okay, so what I did is I just created a new React app on my desktop, and I called it birthday app. Okay, so you can do that by saying npx create react app birthday app as the name of the application. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cd into that folder called birthday-app, -app like that, and I'm going to say open VS Code in that folder like so. Now something that I want to do is actually I created my data right here. This is my data, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to place it into my source folder. Now this file, you can easily get it. You can just head over to my repository and you'll find it there. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to do, as always, is to do some cleanup, and I'm going to delete the favicon and these two and everything inside the public folder except the index.html. And for the source folder, I'm going to delete the app css, app test, logo, this and this, and I'm just going to delete those as well. And then I'm going to go to this and remove this and remove this like that. So let me just go to the app and clean this up as well, and I'm just going to say return a div saying hello react. Once I do that, I can say npm start to start my development server, and you can see what runs in the browser. Okay, oops, I should have removed this first because it will give me an error. Delete that. Yeah, let's see how that looks. There you go, it says hello react. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to do, let me just go over this my data file, and you can see that I'm exporting it as constant data like that, meaning it's a named export. And then inside I just have an array of objects with ID, name and image, and the images are all from pexels.com, and really that's it. I only have 8 items in my array. The reason why I'm pointing out that this is a named export is because we have to name it while importing it. We have to give it the name that we gave it in our original file. So if I were to call this like data1, it would throw me an error. So I'm going to start by importing I'm going to import use state hook, use state from React. And remember, with the React version 16, we don't need to import React anymore, so that's pretty nice. And then I'm also going to import my data. Because it's a named export, you have to put it in curly braces, just like they used it above here. And now it's coming from which folder? Birthday data, like that. And then I'm going to set my state values, and I'm going to say const people and set people, like that. And they're coming from the use state, and I want to pass in my data, like so. Okay, so what do we need to do now? Now I would like to get this data and display it on my browser. So I'm just going to set up my return, and I'm going to remove this and remove that and set up my fragment like so. And I'm going to say I want to map over this data and then display it a certain way using HTML elements. So I'm going to say people.map, and I want to say for each person, then I want a few things. So I'm going to destructure it, and I'm going to say I need the ID, name, and age, and I'm going to say ID, name, and age, and these will be coming from a person, like that. And once you do that, I'm going to set up my return for each one of these, and I'm going to say return a div with a class of container, which we'll use to style it in the index CSS. And because this is returning a list, we actually have to have a unique key prop, and the unique key prop will be coming from the ID, like so. And then I'm going to place another div, and inside the div I'm going to have an image, which will be the avatar of the person. And for the source is what this is, shouldn't be age, it should be image, like that. The source is image. And for the attribute, in case it fails to load, I just like to display the name of the person. I'm just going to say name, and then return another div. Inside the div I'm going to have an h3 with the name of the person, like so. And maybe I should have placed this. I'm going to place this as one thing. Oh no, what am I doing? I'm going to place these two inside one div so that I can style them together, and I'm going to call the div avatar, like that. And then outside the avatar I'm going to say I want another div, and this div will actually be the one that has the dismiss button. So I'm just going to give it a class name of button. Remember, in JSX we don't say class anymore, we say class name. We didn't really say class, I said class anymore. Class was never used, but instead of class we say class name. So remember that. Technically, even if you had class like this, you'll be able to style it in your index CSS, but in the console it will throw you an error. Okay, so I'm going to have a button with a class of btn, and I'm going to say dismiss, like that. And I'm going to set up an on click, because this is technically JavaScript, we have to use common case. Okay, and I'm going to place an inline function, and I'm going to say remove person, and the remove person will be targeting the ID, the unique ID that each person has. So let me go ahead and create this function right above here, and I'm going to say const remove person, like that. And because this is targeting the ID, we actually need the ID. And for this function, I'm actually going to be doing two things. First, I'm going to create a variable which I'm going to link to my filter method, and then once I get some result from the filter method, then I'm going to pass in that new variable that I create inside here into this set people function, so that it actually returns the correct data when we click this button. Okay, so I'm going to say let new person equal to equal to people.filter, and I'm going to say for each person I want to filter the person.id, and check for the ID right there, and I'm going to say set people to new person. I hope that's correct. Let's save that and let's see. There you go, with the images. Very nice. Let's test if this button works and say dismiss, and it works. It actually works. So once we do that, the next thing that we need to do is actually just style it. So I'm going to go back to my index CSS, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to target my all selector, and I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing. What did I spell? Box sizing of border box. Actually, I can actually remove the padding because we're not returning anything that has default padding. And then I'm going to say for the images, let them have a width of 40 pixels and a height of 40 pixels and a border radius of 50%, so that they're rounded like so. That's too small. I'm going to say 50 pixels. That's better. Let me just reload so that everything is there like so. And this is actually, you can see it much better that our button works. Now let me just add something here, and I'm going to say an h3 saying we're going to be getting the length of the array and then displaying it, and we're going to say people.length, and this is what dash birthdays today, like so, and it should reload automatically. 80 birthdays today, like that. And once I click this, it should turn to 7 and 6 and 5 4 3 2 1. Yeah, so our functionality is actually working great. So the next thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to add some a background color to the body, but the background color that I'm adding is actually a linear gradient. And in order to do that, I'm going to say background dash image. This is how we add a linear gradient. You can see like so. And because I want it to run from left to right, I can actually say to right like so, and then place in the colors that I want. But I don't like using that syntax. I like using degrees instead. So I'm going to say it should go 120 degrees, and I'll be picking the colors manually, and it has to have at least 2 colors like so. The color that's here means the color from the beginning, and the color that's ending will be the one that's somewhere there at 120 degrees. So I'm going to say, let me pick maybe I'll even try to change up the colors a bit, and we can say at about somewhere there. See how that looks, not bad. Okay. So what's the next thing we need to do? Let's tell our container. Did I place a class of container right there? So let's tell our container, and I'm going to say for the container, I want the background color to be white, as so. Let me add some padding around the body so that the container pushes inwards. Okay, so I'm going to say padding of 20 pixels all around, like that. And I want to add a border radius on the container of about 5 pixels. Now you'll notice that this is outside the container. That's on purpose. Don't worry about it. You can place it inside the container. There's no problem. Now what you'll notice is that in our app.js, we are returning a div with a class of container, but we're reiterating over all the items that we have in our container. That's why when you look at our styling right here, you can see that there are some edges here, rounded edges before the actual end of at the bottom here. The reason for that is because each one of these are being counted as containers. Okay, and I did that actually on purpose, so that I can come and add a margin on the top of 10 pixels and the left right of auto, so that it centers like that. And then I can come and say, let me also have a padding of 10 pixels like so, and it's looking much better. Now for this, I'm going to add inline styling. I'm going to add inline styling for this, just so I can show you a different way of adding styles in JSX. And I'm going to say the next thing that I need is actually to now display this as flex. So I'm going to say display flex as this, place them like that, and I'm going to say align at center, brings to the center. Now if you remember, for the image and the name, I actually had an extra class called avatar, so I can target it, and I can say the container, and I want the avatar class, and I'll say display flex. This will push them in raw form like that, and I'm going to say align at center like that. Now in order for this to be, oops, I didn't do that. In order for this to be aligned to the end, I'm actually going to say this had a class of button. Okay, so I'm going to target that class, and I'm going to say the container, and I want the button class, and I want the margin left to be auto. Once you do this, this will be pushed to the right. Okay, and once I save, and voila. So next I'd like to target the H3s, and because this is also an H3, I just like to put one global style, and I'll say for the H3s I want a font size of about, I don't know, 16, and then I want a color. Let me actually place a margin left so that it pushes away from the image. A margin left of actually, you know what, I don't want to style this either, so let me just put this inside where was it? It was inside a container and a H3, the container and the avatar class and the H3. Okay, so I'm just going to say the container, the avatar, and the H3 like that. A margin left of 10 pixels. I want the color of the H3. Okay, this again, this is a global style. I want the color to be this color. I want which is more prominent, this color. Yeah, that's much better. One thing that I haven't shown you is that if you look at the bottom right here, it looks as if the gradient ends and then begins again. So in order to avoid that, you have to come and add another property and say background repeat, and set it to no repeat, like so. And then I'm going to set the height of the body to 100 viewport heights, that it covers it, like so. That looks much better. Now what we are remaining with is actually to style this button, and it's inside the button container with the class of btn, like so. And I'm going to say the container dot button and target the buttons, and I'm going to say I want the background color to be I want perhaps this color. Okay, that looks nice. I'm going to remove the border. I'm going to add a padding of 5 pixels, and I'm going to set the color to white, and I'm going to set the font family to inherit, and I'm going to set the cursor to pointer, and I'm going to say transition for this, transition the opacity that we're going to add, transition it by 0.2 seconds, and then we can add the hover state for the button, and I'm going to say for the hover I want the opacity to be 0.8, like so, and then we can move this down like that. See that? Looks much better. And we're going to say actually let me make this color darker, it looks too bright. Yeah, that's much better. Let me also add some, what's it called, border radius on the body, border radius, and I'm going to say the border radius to be 4 pixels, and what else? Let me say letter spacing of 1 pixel, like that, so that it's more pronounced, it's more pronounced. And for the H3s, let me also add a letter spacing of 2 pixels or 1. Okay, That's cool. Okay, so now what we actually need is now to style this h3. So I'm going to go back into our app.js, and inside this h3 I'm going to say style equals, and I'm going to put two curly braces because I'm adding style. Okay, and I'm going to say I want the color to be white because we're adding styles actually in place of JavaScript, you know. So actually for things like background color, we're actually going to be using camel case, and I want something like text align. We have to use camel case and place it in brackets and say center, not in brackets but in single quotes or double quotes, whichever you're using. And then I also want the font size. I want the font size to be 36 pixels, and that should be it, shouldn't it? Like so. And maybe I can add a background color to be white. So I can actually change this text color to, what's this color, to this. Change the text color to this so that there's a bit of matching, like so, and add some padding on this. Actually, let me not add it there. I'm going to add it in here, and I'm going to say I want a padding of 5 pixels, just so it pushes a bit down, like that. Okay. Let me add some kind of padding above here and below as well, because this looks too squeezed. It looks too squeezed. So I'm going to say for the, actually, what was it? Let me just check. Let me add it on the body. For the body, let me add a padding of let me say 50 pixels on the top and bottom, and 20 pixels on the left and right, like so. That didn't work. Oops, something's wrong down here. Something is wrong. What will that do? Just reload. Okay, so let me see. This should be, actually let me remove this, remove that, and actually this would work. Okay, and then you can remove this to 50 pixels. Yeah, that looks much better. That looks much better. Now what you'll notice is that because we haven't added any media query, when you get to a higher width, it looks horrendous. So we can fix that, and we can fix that by saying let me say add a media query, and I say for the mean width of about what, 992 pixels. I'm going to say I want the container to have a max width of 800 pixels, and that should be it. That should be it. Yep, I left this in by design because I think it looks nice like that. And yeah, that's it. You can see if we dismiss, and it works. Oh no, oh no, that should not be, height 100 report heights. That should not be. Let me just check this if it still work. It still doesn't work. So what I could do is for the container, not for the container. What's this? There's a div with the container. This is the button. Something is not right. Something isn't right. And takes up what if I say remove these two. Okay, once I remove those two, then it works. Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah, that works fine. Okay, that works fine. And on bigger widths it works fine as well. Yeah, it works fine as well. Now if you wanted to set up a button to restore everything once once you've deleted all the data, then what you can do is go back to app.js and say, like above, where below the h3, and say a button with a class name of btn, just so it can apply some styles. And I'm going to say restore notifications, and I'm going to set up an inline. I'm going to set up an on click first of all, and I'm going to set up an inline function that will create, and I'll say all we need to do is actually just this pass in this function called set people, and we pass in the data, and that will restore the data. And I'm going to say set people, and we pass in the data like that. Let's see how that looks. Restore notifications, restore, and you can see it works. It works. Why didn't this style apply? Let me just check it. Okay, that's because if I come and remove this, then it will apply like that. There you go, and you can see it works fine. It works fine. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. And this isn't a very good style. You can try and move it to the center. But that's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something new. Please like the video and subscribe and ring the bell to always be notified of my latest uploads, and I will see you in the next video.